Hi, I'm David Scranton, and thank you for clicking this video. You know, prices have been steadily increasing for over a year now, and the Federal Reserve's efforts to battle inflation don't really seem to be having so much effect. So today, we're talking about how to help protect your retirement from inflation, even if you're already retired. Now it's time to bring in our special guest, Drew Pelton, founder and president of Drew Pelton Investment Services, a retirement income store in Baton Rouge. Drew, always great to have you back here on the Income Generation.
Thank you, Dave. It's a pleasure being with you anytime I'm on.
Of course. So, how often do you have clients talking to you about inflation? Are they concerned? Do they think it's going to fix itself pretty quickly? What's the general sentiment that you're feeling today?
I would say it's the number one thing that I hear from clients or those that come into the office and they want a complimentary review. They're very concerned. 8.5% is certainly a big inflation number. And we haven't seen those kind of numbers in decades. The other thing is just to put it to a dollar figure. I know recently, it's probably 2 weeks ago, maybe even a month ago at this point, it was said that if we keep spending, if each of us on average keeps spending the same amount of money that we did last year, everybody's going to spend $5,200 more. For the average American, that's a big hit.
Yeah, that's a big difference. So, what do you think? You think we're seeing the highest rate of inflation now with that 8.5 number? Do you think it'll get worse? And how long do you think it'll last where things get somewhat normal again?
That sounds like when we're in the middle of the game and the score is pretty even and it's who's going to win. But I will say that I think that the worst is not over. I think we will see some tick up, but then things can settle down. But it's a really difficult call to make. Last year, when inflation was tracking at 6.5%, everybody thought, oh, well, this is just transitory. And by this time in the spring of 2022, everything will settle down. Well, obviously that hasn't happened. So it's really tricky business to call that play or call what the outcome of the game is going to be. But I do think it's going to get worse, at least a little bit before it starts to get better. And we'll have to see what the Fed say.
And I know you heard Steve Forbes say that the government should take a more active role to be more business friendly to help us grow out of it. But we also know that that's unlikely to happen, certainly under the current administration. So the Fed is using the only tools it has, and that's trying to raise interest rates. Are they going to create the next recession at this point?
Well, let me say, I don't know how anybody doesn't respect Steve Forbes. His background, what he says, it's always common sense. I just think that although he's thinking that the Feds could handle things in the way he was talking, I don't think, as you're saying, it's very likely. And the Feds are probably going to try to control inflation by raising the Fed rates. And,
right.
And we're going to.
But do you think they'll create a recession by raising rates too quickly?
I absolutely do. I mean, that would be normal, that by slowing down the economy, you try to control it, the rates go up, inflation comes down, that's great, but you're slowing the economy and, we can enter into a recession. None of this is overnight or in 1 month or 2 months. I think that the past stimulus money has had a lot to do with keeping this economy going as it is going. But I do think that a recession is likely if the Feds keep raising the rates.
So that means investors need to be concerned about rates going up because, as Warren Buffett said recently, when interest rates go up, which the Fed is now doing, that causes the value of all financial assets to drop on paper. So what do you tell people? People come into your office and they need to make some adjustments to protect themselves. Maybe they're part of the income generation, but they're kind of frozen with fear most likely, but they're frozen based upon what they see out there today. What do you tell them?
When I'll say clients come in, most of the clients that we have are already focusing on dividend and interest generating assets, or getting higher yields in the neighborhood of 4.5 to even sometimes 6%. And that's probably one of the best ways to hedge inflation. Although obviously those numbers are less than 8.5%, so it's not an easy fix. Certainly when somebody comes in who is not a client and I see yields that are in the 1.5 to 2.5% area numbers, that's very scary, because it's pretty easy to do the math. If you just, let's say you subtract 2% yields from 8% inflation, just to keep it simple, well, that's a 6% delta. That's not a good thing.
Yeah.
And it's going to catch up with them, and people need to make some changes.
Well, and I know you're a big believer, as I am, in the stock market of higher dividend yielding stocks. And you heard Steve Forbes talk about that certain companies can pass on more of the increase in their costs to the consumer, which means that those companies can do fairly well. And we see that right now. They seem to be doing better than the technology companies, which is why the NASDAQ's in bear market territory, whereas the S&P 500 is only in correction territory. But how about bonds? Everybody says, well, I want to invest for income, and they think, well, I've got to go to bonds, but interest rates go up and bonds go down. So what do you tell those folks?
Well, it's not just bonds, it's not just stocks and bonds. You have to dig deeper. On the bond side, it's about bond-like instruments. Certainly the bond market is a challenging market today, with the rates going up and coming back down, et cetera, and determining when to buy the right bonds is challenging. But REITs, REITs and BDCs, business development corporations, or preferreds, which is a stock, pay yields that can generate 4 to 6% and can help an investor hedge inflation, or it should be, in my opinion, all the time, regardless of inflation being at any level. It's smart to generate and get dividends and interest at a 4 to 6% level.
Yeah, so I think that's all great advice, Drew. And as usual, thanks a lot for your time, and great to have you here on the Income Generation. Drew Pelton.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you for watching today's video, The Inflation Situation. If you liked it, give us a thumbs up by clicking the button, and you'll essentially give us a like to make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel for new content each and every week.